What is up, everybody, and welcome in to yet another episode of It's Not Only Football, blank, 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 and beyond. If you're not aware, there is a giant strike happening right now. The Writers Guild and the Screen Actors Guild are both striking at the same time. Because of the strike, we can no longer talk about the blank, 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 the show that has been the subject matter of our particular podcast. The episode you are about to watch, the interview with Minka Kelly, was recorded pre-strike. This puts us in a position where we get to reach out to you, our It's Not Only Football family, and ask, hey, what do you want to talk about for the next couple of weeks? Let us know in the comments below. In the comments in the rate and review section of Apple Podcasts or on YouTube, and let us know what you want us to chat about. We love you guys, and we say thank you to you guys for being with us throughout this entire process. These first 38 episodes have been so incredibly fun, and so much of it is because of each and every one of you out there. Clear eyes, full hearts, can't talk about the show is our marching orders for right now. That being said, let us know. We can't wait to see what you guys come up with, and we've got some really interesting and really fun things cooking as well. So we can't wait to talk to you next week on Thursday, but for now, enjoy the one and only Lyla Garrity on this week's episode of It's Not Only Football, blank, blank, blank. Hello, everybody, and welcome in to another episode of It's Not Only Football, Friday Night Lights, and Beyond. Today is not a recap episode. No. Today, we have a legend in the house. You all knew her as Lyla Garrity, but Zach and I know her as our good friend, Minka Kelly. Welcome.
Woo! What an intro.
I always love, I'm so sorry, I already cut you off.
That's okay, go ahead.
I love hearing watching people's face when they first hear Scott's announcer voice.
Yeah, I went, oh, yeah, that tracks.
Yeah.
Scott Porter. My first thought was, God, he must love this.
Yes, he does love it.
It's so for him.
It's very fun and it's great.
So Scott.
Wait, why? Why is it so for me?
Because you're just so good at this kind of stuff, and it just makes so much sense that this is what you would be doing and that you would be doing the intros. Because you're the beatboxer, you're the performer, you're the singer, you're the boy band guy.
I am.
And of course,
wow.
you're the announcer. You're just
And now I am blushing.
Multi-talented.
Sure. But we are not here to talk about me today. We are here to talk about you and your journey through Friday Night Lights, some things that you've done beyond that. I mean, watching season 1 back, Zach likes to say, oh, they just like to poop on Saracen all the time.
They do.
But man, they threw so much stuff at Lyla Garrity. And I have to say, Zach and I and you were kind of like three amigos, like when we were shooting like the pilot and like the early part of season 1.
Yeah, you were my two closest friends on this show.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Ditto.
It's so funny having you in here, and like you and I have hung out recently, but seeing how quickly you're like, yeah, I know Scott. I have your number.
Right? It's so nice.
But it's that kind of thing is we all knew each other were doing good work, but we weren't working together a ton. Like, I knew how fantastic you were.
Thank you. I've been saying that. I was like, you're a liar. The only time we ever worked together was in the flag football game. And we didn't even have any lines. We just were in the same thing together. But yeah, it was so weird that it's not weird that we became friends.
Right.
Maybe it is.
We just well, no. I mean, we were the first ones in Austin.
That's true.
So
okay, so there.
Yeah.
That was the flame, the spark.
We had a lot of.
We had no choice. We were all we had.
We had a lot of scene work together in season 1, but there was so much you did that I didn't witness. And like watching the series back again, like Zach and I have just been blown away by your performance and the strength of Lyla Garrity actually fighting through so much in season 1.
No, and it's this character. I mean, we've said, this is what I've thought is, it's this character. It's the cheerleader, the quarterback's girlfriend, and it could have been just such like a trope. And there was so much that only Minka could have brought to Lyla that just made her such a complex, interesting, strong, funny character.
So I guess the first question is we're seeing it now as we rewatch. Pete obviously saw it when he cast you for the show. We always like to start with, where'd you come from? why'd you get into acting, and then kind of get into your audition story. So where'd you grow up? Where I already know the answer to this, but for the audience.
I'm like, guys.
I know.
Have we met?
I grew up in Albuquerque. I ended up becoming an actress because a friend of mine took me to an acting class with no intention of really becoming an actress quite yet, but sure, I'll go with you to this thing. But it became sort of my first sort of taste of therapy, just because this teacher really paid attention to me in a way a woman really hadn't ever before, and sort of tough loved me into learning who I am, because I came from Albuquerque wearing a lot of masks, and she was the first person to encourage me to start peeling back those layers and discovering really who Minka is, as opposed to this thing that I thought I needed to be to make people like me. And I sort of just became addicted to that process for sort of that reason, and then you know, it all just sort of snowballs from there, being sort of immersed in that world, I suppose.
Now, you were working in a different
Yeah,
field,
that's what I
though,
wanted
right?
to out you on this, because what I like to brag about is what I was besides an actor, which was I led backpacking trips for
Which
high
is
school
what I
kids.
always brag about you on. I'm like, yeah, he's great, but he's even more great because do you know what he did before Friday Night Lights?
Well, but what about what you did before? I mean, that's like really amazing and impressive, and I want you to brag on it.
Thanks, bud. I was a scrub nurse for 4 years up until I got Friday Night Lights, and that was my day job, or my job. As you know, I watched my mom wait tables my whole life and things like that, so I didn't want to do that. I watched her work and suffer a lot, and so I didn't want to be in the service industry, but I wanted to be of service, and I wanted to take care, and I found myself fascinated by surgeries, answering phones at a doctor's office. And I eventually ended up going to school to train as a scrub nurse. So I thought that's what I could do in case this acting thing doesn't work out. I can have a trait that I can do no matter how old I am or what I look like, which was something my mom didn't have. So I got really excited that I could do this thing that I really, really loved. And I ended up being really, really good at it. And I got to sort of have a second chance at going to school and really committing to it in a way that I didn't have the opportunity to in high school. So my attendance was perfect. My grades were perfect. I spent my whole entire weekends in the library, and I loved going to school. And then I also loved being a scrub nurse so much because I was really, really good at it, which I think is such a gift, because with what we do as actors, we're never really, really good at. We're always like, God, I could do that better. Constantly. It's always, we're not good enough. We're not this enough. We're not that enough. And to have something I know that I'm really good at, that I can do no matter what I look like or how old I am, is something that gives me a lot of grounding and confidence, I guess, because when I become very disheartened with our work, I can go, I don't need this. I can go be a nurse. I can go work in a hospital. I'll be fine.
This explains so much to me because, you know, when I first met you, it was at our test. It was the studio test. And I'll never forget, you were sitting right next to me. And Pete had come out. He called another actor for Jason Street in. Mm-hmm. And that actor went in. And then that actor came out crying. And you, in front of the entire room, went, "What are you doing? What are you doing? That is not how you act. Don't come out here trying to intimidate people. Dry your tears off in the room. Don't come crying. And there's 5 different roles here. There's 40 actors in this room. Come on. Be professional." And I was like...
I was sassy back then. So.
I know. You were confident, and you had such a strong sense of self. And so for me, I was like... Oh my gosh. First of all, I was so indebted to you already.
Had I read with you yet at that point?
No, you hadn't.
Wow.
You hadn't. And we didn't read together for like a couple of hours after that. I finally went in and I did my scene, and then he opened the door and he said, "Minka, come back into the room." And you and I read together, and we did a lot of improv on the, you know, do you have superpowers scene.
I loved us.
I did too.
We were great. I was like, this is my guy.
This is my girl.
I knew it.
I tell people all the time, like, Minka helped me book the role.
Oh, we helped each other.
But what was, like, the start of your process? Like, how did you get to the test? When you first auditioned for Friday Night Lights,
Did you drive? Did you take the bus?
No, you know what I mean. Like, your first meeting
sorry.
with Pete, or how did that... Because everybody has such a unique story of how they ended up on Friday Night Lights.
Are they all different?
They are...
Well, like, I auditioned for Riggins first.
Oh, yeah.
And then they didn't even want me. Long story. Everybody's heard it. I was literally just the guy waiting in the wings, and they ran out of time with the other guy. Jesse auditioned for Saracen.
Did you audition for a different role? Did you audition
It was always for Lyla.
Okay.
And I remember feeling like a football show. Didn't they already make a movie about that? Is that going to be dumb? I just didn't. And then I was like, the guy breaks his neck in the first episode. What happens after that? It's done. Like, what?
Yeah.
But I needed a job, and who can? Like, I also at that point, you're like, I'll do anything, even this weird football show. Little did you know, you're hitting the jackpot.
Yeah.
But so I auditioned, and I kept auditioning the same scene for every callback. And by the time I was to audition for Pete, I went in basically by rote at this point. I was just doing the same thing over and over again.
Right.
So when he saw it, he was like, yeah, that's great. Now do the same scene, but do it like you want to kill the guy. And I was like, what? This really seductive, flirtatious scene? He's like, yeah, do it like you want to kill him. And I was like, okay.
A very Black Widow of you.
And I just did the same dialogue, but angry. And he was like, great. Now do the scene like, he just killed your, you know how Pete is. He's like, he just killed your sister, and now he's trying to flirt with you, and you just tell him how you feel. You take his head off. And you're like, okay. And then he's like, all right, now do the scene like you're on heroin. And I was like, okay. And he goes, no, that's cocaine, heroin. And I was like, oh, right, okay. And I just did the scene like I was on heroin. And he just had me play, because he's like, I see you can do this one thing over and over that you've been doing. You've done nothing else. Let me see that you can play, because he knew a lot of the show would probably be improvised, and that he was going to be yelling direction at you from behind the camera, and wanted to see that you can take direction, and it seems that's what he really cared about, and thank God. And then that was it. And I remember reading with you, and feeling so at ease and comfortable with you, and like we just played so well together, and I just remember being like, that's gonna be the guy, and yeah.
Yeah, I was so relieved when he called you into the room, because we had already had interaction. We sat next to each other in the audition space, and when there's so many actors coming in and out, it is easy. It was my first pilot season. I had not auditioned for much. And
I think it was my first pilot season too.
I was very
Mine too.
Yeah.
But I was so intimidated, and you didn't seem to be. And
really,
that gave me so much calm. I think we all have our own defense mechanisms.
Yeah, we can't see what's going on inside.
Yeah,
I feel like I don't know, maybe I still had that young.
Yeah, it's dumb football.
The
show.
hubris.
Who cares?
Yeah,
the hubris of youth.
I don't know. I mean, gosh.
Well, what I really hear from your audition story is he told you, like you want to kill the guy. So murder was a part of our storyline for the audition.
I mean, it is Pete. He loves blowing things up.
I mean, listen, So I'm just going to jump to State really quickly before we go back and talk about the rest of season 1, just because it ties in. We were blown away, because I keep all my scripts. I have every script.
That's so cool. I love that you have that.
Zach
She's not being sarcastic. If
No,
I
I'm
sat in, I'd be
not.
like, that's so cool,
I
Scott.
think it's so cool.
No, I know you do.
Yeah.
You're a very nice person. I'm just like, well.
I mean, I keep them for a variety of reasons, mostly for charitable stuff, because if anything ever comes up and we can all sign a script, and it's an easy way to get people to donate to like great causes.
Yeah.
But the script for State actually has the murder happen then, not in season 2, and it's you and Tyra on the way home from State after you have your big blow up fight and you rejoin, and you ask her if she needs a ride home, and you two road trip home. Did you ever shoot?
Did we break down on the side of the road or something?
Yeah. Well, no. You broke down on the side of the road going up. You got your car fixed, and then you drove back, and you went to a rest area.
Okay.
And you came out, and Tyra had murdered a guy.
Oh, okay.
But you were like a part of the whole cover up. Did you?
Oh,
ever
I was?
Yeah. Did you ever shoot
forgot.
it? Do you remember shooting this
No.
murder?
No.
I don't think they shot it because
Because you told them it sucked.
I told them it sucked. I don't think it was because I told them it sucked, but I remember I told Sarah Aubrey, I was like, I read the script. And I was like, what is
What
this
is going
murder?
on?
This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
She's like, well, blah, blah, hem, ha. I was like, ugh. And then at the like rap party or something, she said, you're going to be really happy. I was like, what? She was like, we cut the murder. And I was like, okay. And I couldn't remember if you guys ever filmed it or if it got cut before filming it. But apparently they were so attached to it that they had Jesse kill the guy in the season
Instead.
2 opener.
They couldn't. Zach famously said on the pod, yeah, you can't improv out of murdering a guy.
Once you murder a guy, that storyline's there.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back to the beginning of season 1 because the pilot was a lot of fun. And when I said we were like kind of like the three amigos, I could not believe that the two of you were like, we want to go with you to your nerdy comic book shop
yeah.
action figure tournament. Like we legit did like everything together.
Well,
You, like,
I don't know. I was like, I don't even understand what you're telling me you do.
Yeah.
You take action figures and play chess with
Yes,
them?
that's right. That's right.
Shout out to Hero Clicks, but you should have seen the rest of the room. Like when you and Zach and I walk in, and they're like, "Who are these people, and why are they in our comic shop? What? And who is she? Why is she here?" It was just so funny. And as I'm playing in the tournament, which you guys stuck around for 3 hours,
Oh, we weren't gonna, there was
We're
no
good
Uber
friends.
then. Yeah.
And there was no Uber.
No,
you
you're
were
the-
our ride.
you're the best friends. You're the best friends.
Aw.
I just remember, hanging out with Chewy all the time.
Chewy, my girl.
Rest in peace, Chewy.
Yeah.
She was the sweetest dog.
She was the best.
We've talked so much about everybody's dogs on the show, like
that's
Amy
a
with
big-
Gizmo and you
Pip.
with Pip.
Yeah. I remember with Chewy, you had taught her a trick where you go pew pew pew. She'd roll over
Yeah.
on her back and
The
like,
dog.
Yeah.
And then as she move, I go, the dogs don't move. And then she freeze again.
Ah,
I
She
know.
was-
she was the best.
But just that process was like, again, it's like strangers in a strange land. Like nobody knew each other going into it. I feel like the audition process did help to give us some connective tissue.
Familiarity. Oh, yeah, of some sort.
But then shooting the pilot, we're in Austin.
Yeah.
And so for the people that lived in LA, like you, and had like lives here, you were uprooted from that and dropped into Austin, which, is a really cool place and such a soft landing pad. But at the time, like we're all still, no one knows anybody. Nobody knows anything.
No, we knew each other. It was like kind of like a 3-week party in some sense. I mean, we'd go and play like shuffleboard. We'd go bowling. We'd play volleyball sometimes.
Thanks to you.
Well, I did some of it, but I mean, it just was like kind of this fun, and it kind of was this great way for us to all very quickly get to know each other really well because we're supposed to be people who've grown up together in a small town
Right.
Texas.
Yeah. And the pilot had so much energy behind it. And then we came back for episode 2, and it was like these storylines got very real very quickly. And we were all starting to be put through like really serious stuff. And I remember all of our scenes together very vividly because you were like one of the only members of the cast that I would actually see. I was separated, but then you would have to carry all of that weight with you into all of your other stuff.
Yeah, you had like the heaviest season 1. No offense, Scott.
Yeah, no, hey.
I mean, it's like, yeah, I mean, between the stuff with your dad, also like, I need to ask you too, because I think more than anyone, maybe Kyle, you got to work with Brad Leland more than anyone. And he came on and talked to us, and like watching it back, he's
He's the best.
yeah.
He's still the best. He still texts me every year for my birthday. Happy birthday to my TV daughter. It's the sweet. I'm like, Brad, you're the best. It's so sweet. I adore it. I think he's wonderful and such a great actor.
Oh my God, he's amazing.
Yeah.
And like what he could bring to Buddy, this like
I know.
despicable character, and make him so likable.
Lovable?
Weirdly.
Yeah.
Lovable is even
Yeah.
a better word.
Microdosing. What is it? It's kind of like that perfect balanced feeling when you're relaxed, you're focused, you're energized, you're everything, and nothing else is going to get you there except microdosing. Our show today is sponsored by Microdose Gummies. Microdose Gummies deliver perfect entry-level doses of THC that help you feel just the right amount of good. Look, I've had trouble sleeping my whole life. Now, as an adult, I'll usually try to have a drink to wind down, but we all know alcohol does not help you sleep. It might help you fall asleep, but it gives you a bad night's sleep. So I have turned to microdose, and I'm telling you, it's perfect. It kind of calms me out. The stress and the adrenaline of the day goes away. I chill out. Maybe I watch a little TV. Maybe I talk to my wife, but I fall asleep easy. I stay asleep through the night, and the next morning, I don't feel like I've been drinking all night. Here's the deal, people. Microdose is available nationwide. To learn more about microdose and THC, go to microdose.com and use code LIGHTS to get free shipping and 30% off your first order. Links can be found in the show description, but again, that is microdose.com and code LIGHTS.
There's one thing all great teams, coaches, players, even podcasters like us have in common, and that is preparation. Planning is key in everyday life, too, and a great way to be prepared for the unexpected is to join Air Medcare Network, America's largest air ambulance membership network. Air Medcare Network providers operate state-of-the-art helicopters capable of responding to critically ill or injured patients in need of emergency medical transport. But when you're an AMCN member, you won't see a bill for your flight only when flown by one of their providers. That's right, you pay nothing. So join Air Medcare Network's more than 3 million members. It's just $99 a year. And right now, our listeners get up to an $80 MasterCard or Amazon e-gift card when they join and use offer code FNL. So make sure the Air Medcare Network team is protecting your family and your finances now. Visit airmedcarenetwork.com/FNL today. That's airmedcarenetwork.com/FNL.
Let's face it, summer is hectic. There's a lot going on, a lot of travel. If you got kids, they're not in school, and life just gets crazy. And one thing that helps it be a little less crazy is Daily Harvest. Honestly, I've been using Daily Harvest since before it was even a sponsor. I've had these things in my freezer for years, and they're the bomb. You just pop them out, you put it in your blender, you fill it with whatever kind of milk or milk alternative you like, and then you got a bomb, super healthy smoothie. My favorite is mint cacao, which is really a fancy way to say mint chip. It's like having ice cream, but it's healthy. But now they got all this other stuff. They got forager bowls. They've got flatbreads. They can keep your freezer stocked with healthy stuff to keep you fed. You don't have to chop nothing. You don't have to clean up anything, but you do got to recycle the packaging. Come on, let's all agree we're going to recycle. But Daily Harvest is the best. And when it comes to better choices, Daily Harvest makes it easy. They support farmers who invest in improving the biodiversity and health of our soil. Even their recyclable and compostable packaging, where possible, makes me feel like I'm making a positive impact on our environment. And all I have to do is eat and enjoy. And that is very simple because these things are very enjoyable. We all deserve easy mornings. Let Daily Harvest give you one less thing to worry about. Go to dailyharvest.com/FNL to get up to $65 off your first box. That's dailyharvest.com/FNL for up to $65 off your first box. dailyharvest.com/FNL.
Oh, wait. Hold on. I've got to grab something here.
Oh, Scott's got a surprise.
Oh, no. Okay, so we did the pilot, and then, like, our first couple episodes, and, like...
I actually have
I
this.
made that.
You made this. I'm holding in my hands.
Oh, my God.
A photo album that Minka gave everybody.
Oh, my
It says on the front, Jason Street. It's got my number. It says FNL, and it's from Minka. And you, I mean, full on, you know.
Oh my God, the like textured scissors.
Yes. This is so, and I have this on my sports shelf, but a lot of it's from the pilot, and you can see just like how much fun we were having and how light everything was, right? And I'll post a picture of this thing on my Instagram for anybody listening.
My God, I love
but you see how young we are and how smiley and everything we are. And this was our Christmas gift. You have one as well?
I literally just came upon this.
You kept something?
You
Yeah,
have
because
it?
it was
You
from
have it?
Minka.
Can I see? Oh my
Yeah, here.
Nice.
But I saw it. I was like, oh yeah, this thing, and didn't flip through it. I forgot that it was from you.
Wow.
I kind of was like, where'd I get this?
This is amazing. I'm so proud of myself for making this for you guys. Guys, this took time.
That would take a lot of time and effort.
Wow.
Well, I found this, and it just made me remember. I was like, man, look how light and how happy everything was. And then very seriously,
and
stuff
then
got
wasn't.
just so tough. Did you know like a lot of these storylines were coming, or did you not? Like, did they tell you ahead of time
No,
what you were
of
in
course
store
not.
for? Because I kind of knew I kind of knew Jason's journey, but you didn't know, huh?
Mm-mm.
Wow.
No, I had no idea.
Did you know about the Riggins storyline?
No.
No.
I don't think so. I don't remember anyone. I was so green. I didn't even know to ask what's going to happen with my storyline.
I didn't know any of mine. I never.
Yeah, no.
That's a very Scott thing.
Yeah.
In a good way.
He's thorough. Well,
You're
he's
thorough.
thorough.
You want to be prepared.
Yeah.
I didn't ask either. Pete just told me.
No, I just was going from script to script, and every time going, oh, God, how do they know I can do this? I'm like, okay. And being terrified out of my mind, like so scared and nervous and just so green and not confident.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
So the storylines kind of scare you?
No, they really excited me, but there were times I was scared because I had been to some acting classes, but I wasn't prepared for how nervous I would be, or no one taught me how to actually prepare. And this all just sort of happened so fast. I feel like I really leaned on how much we're all going to play and improvise. So when I remember the first episode working with a director or the next episode that wasn't Pete, and being so scared because I'll never forget how terrified I was because I couldn't remember my lines, I think, or something, or they were new lines. And I just remember when you were in the hospital and I was coming to you being like, we're going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay, Jason. And you're like, it's not going to be okay. And I was like, don't say that, Jason. I'm like, I cringe at the sound of my own voice because I can hear how terrified I was and how lost I was. I just wasn't prepared enough. I was so scared. And I just...
No, I believe you. And I'm telling you, don't think that way because this girl would be lost and terrified. And there's no way to prepare for that. And it's almost like, if you had for those scenes been the actor who memorizes every line perfectly and decides how she's going to do it before she comes into the scene, it would have just been so cardboard. And, it's kind of best to go in and know kind of what you're going to say, but you don't know what Scott's going to do or whatever your scene partner. So, in rewatching those scenes, that's the stuff where I'm like, oh my God, it feels so real. And I hate that you think of it and you're like, oh, it sounded so unprepared or whatever.
Or I'm so sensitive to the sound of my voice. And that was the beginning of my journey of needing to make friends with my voice and also not speak like this from my throat, because I was so scared. I didn't know how to relax yet. Mm-hmm. And so when I'm like this, I'm so scared and it's coming from here. And I didn't know I was doing that yet. No, I didn't know how to control that or how to fix it or that I was even doing it until season 1 came out and I went on blogs to see what people thought of me.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Can't do that. Why would you do
I was
that?
just so curious. I wanted to be liked so badly. And I just was like, what do they think of me? And they hated me.
Oh.
And I just remember being like, okay, what's going on with my voice? And it was good, I was able to be like, okay, I really got to fix this thing. I really got to fix how I show anger through gritted teeth. They didn't like that either.
There's a reason they're called trolls.
Yeah.
They're little people who hide under bridges and throw stones.
But I thank them because they made me better. And I'm not as curious anymore. I'm more sure of who I am now, and I'm okay with it. But yeah, those days really scarred me. I still am like, I know I was bad. I'm bad, guys. I know I'm bad.
Well,
absolutely not. Wait, I do want to say just to connect with you. I'm very self-conscious of my voice.
Yeah,
and I feel like it's super nasally. And so Keely, my wife, always is like, "Why are you talking in your actor voice?" Just why? Just talk like yourself. I'm like, "What are you talking about? This is how I talk. I talk like this."
Oh, I see.
All the time.
So you make a ton of fun of me because I've got announcer voice, and you're in here doing your actor voice the whole time.
I'm doing my actor voice. I'm doing my actor voice.
I'm right there with you. I have a higher pitch kind of nasally voice, and I've always wanted, especially you've done some voices in video games. I do a lot of video stuff, and I'm always so jealous. I'm the guys who just naturally speak like this, and I'm just like, where's that gruff and that bass? Why didn't I get any of that?
Have you ever met that guy in person?
Oh, those guys. Yeah, I've met them all.
No, but in real life, had a conversation with someone and they talk like that, and you're like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I have.
How are they like? Hell yeah. How? What does that
They
sound
just
like?
naturally have a really cool voice, and I'm like, this is you play all the
Right,
heroes in the
right,
video
right,
games.
right.
Boo. But like, I've had to figure out how to, and I struggle with that same exact thing. But I will say, Pete cast you for a myriad of reasons, right? But you were such the unflappable character, the unpoppable balloon for like the first 3 or 4 episodes, which were really dark and really heavy, and yet you are there just like as this beacon of optimism, and who you are shines through in all of that and helps actually keep things a little buoyant. There's a scene that I love in like the 3rd episode when a doctor walks by and you're like, excuse me, can you help me put all these decorations up for Jason? And by the way, have you heard about this guy that had the same injury as him but has started walking again? Have you heard about all these things? And you're just like, and he's like, I don't, I'm an orthopedist. I have no idea what you're talking. But it is like this energy of Lyla being like, the world is not going to break me. Not right now. Not today. Right? And that's the stuff that I really loved. And I think in rewatching it, I saw so much of you in that way too, in Lyla in season 1. No matter what they're throwing at you, you always find a way to bounce back. I mean, after the Riggins and Lyla relationship comes out and it's different for girls, I mean, God, that is such a brutal episode. And yet at the end of it, there you are, standing tall, showing up to the competition. And I remember how hard you worked for the cheer stuff. I remember I went to practice and saw you practicing, and I remembered being there as a human being, not as a character. I forgot Jason actually went. I remembered being there watching you and supporting you because you would do that for me or for Zach or for so many people on the cast, like just show up and support.
Yeah.
And I thought I did the same thing, but no, I actually had to be there. But that episode, it's like, I don't know. I see so much triumph and so much confidence and so much like will to win in Lyla. So I wouldn't listen to those people online. I'd listen to the people like us who actually know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Thank you. That's so nice. I love that.
Is there? I'm so curious because we're like halfway through season 2 right now, and you just picked up a convict as he's leaving jail with your Jesus shtick.
That's right.
Just so you know, that's
Forgot
where we're
about
at.
that.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
we're at the Jesus
I had
part.
forgotten about it too. I forgot half of my stuff. I'm like, I forgot.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hadn't forgotten about it because Matt Sukri is coming, right?
Oh,
The Christian radio
yeah, the
host
radio
you guys
thing.
dated for like 4
Yeah.
episodes. He's on the way, so I knew this was coming. Go ahead, Zach.
well, I'm just curious. I mean, so everything so far has been pretty heavy, and maybe the heavy stuff's your favorite. Do you have like a favorite storyline or anything, or just like a super fond memory from the show?
It was hard to
know.
have fun on the show, to be honest, because everything was so heavy
Yeah.
all the time. And, and it was also heavy in my own personal life at the time. So my mom was dying of cancer, and I was also had this heavy, I didn't know how to separate work and life, and I was just feeling it all and feeling it in a big way and trying to show up and not let it break me and be strong and be positive and be professional, and so that no one knows or I don't have to ever be a burden. And so hearing you describe Lyla like that makes me smile because I feel like that is also me. And that makes me more proud of the work. So thank you for saying all that, because if that's what came through, then I'm really proud. I like that. So thank you, Scott. Working with you, doing that with you was such a gift because you are so generous and available and present and had my back always. I remember so many times being unsure about something, and I would look at you and I'd be like, I don't know, Scott. And you'd be like, you got this. And I'd be like, okay, I got this. I could cry right now because I just remember so many moments of feeling so thankful and telling you. I remember we had moments where we'd be like, I'm so glad it's you. Thank God it's you. I have goosebumps right now because it was heavy and it was hard a lot and it was scary a lot and I was insecure a lot. And you gave me so much confidence because you believed in me so much when I didn't believe in myself. And I trusted you, and we trusted each other. And that sort of dynamic meant so much to me, and I've carried it with me with the rest of my career to this day. I really care about having each other's backs and being there for each other in a way that you and I really were all those years.
Yeah. Oh, man. Tears in my eyes, too.
I'm tearing up over here.
So I really saw. We never worked together.
But that flag football game, we weren't even on the same team. I guess I question with that just because it is true, and in rewatching everything you had is so heavy. But when you left, was it kind of like a shedding of like a weight? Was it like bittersweet? Like I feel like it could have been anything.
You know, when I left, I left for Parenthood. I went straight to Parenthood. That was when I started to enjoy my career and work. I really started to enjoy it because that was where I felt, one, so welcomed by everybody. I remember my first time walking into the hair and makeup trailer, there were signs everywhere. Welcome to Parenthood, Lyla. Like, you know, because it's Jason's show, so they all love Jason. So, you know, they're going to do their research, they're going to watch Friday Night Lights, and they all love it. And so it just was such a warm welcome, and everyone was so loving and supportive. And I remember I learned some bad habits that I had that I was lovingly taken out of. Like, for example, I had no self-esteem or confidence. I just never felt like I belonged. So whenever I would get a note from a director, they'd be like, Minka, can you try it like this? Afterwards, instead of on set going, say something else. And you're like, okay. If a director were to give me a note in between scenes, like, hey, you know, that was really good. Let's try it this way. I go, okay, I'm so sorry. And after every time that I'd get a note, I'd go, oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, I'll do that. I remember one of the directors pulling me aside and going, Mink, I want you to know you belong here. You're good. You're very good. You're here because you're good. And I was like, oh, and I just started bawling. And he was like, you never have to apologize when we give you a note. We're giving you a note because we know you can do it. We want to try something different because we know that you can. We're just trying to work with you. It's not because you did anything bad. You have nothing to apologize for. It was just such a loving way to help me be confident, and I never forgot that. And so this was just different, and it's where I found my confidence. I found my confidence when I left Friday Night Lights.
Wow. You know, it's not apparent when I watch Friday Night Lights, though. There's a scene where you and I go at it when I tell you to get me a glass of water and I'm laying on
I'll never forget that.
I mean,
I fought for that to be that way.
Yeah. I mean, we really yell at each other. Like, we go off. But your final line in that scene is, and if you want a cup of water, say please.
Oh, say please.
Yeah. Oh. And the way you button that scene, you know, I hated myself in that scene, but I loved you in that scene. And I was like, she crushed it. I just felt like I was like yelling and not doing anything. And you had all the nuance and all the venom and all the right to stand up and defend yourself in this situation, because I was just having a pity party. And I loved how you attacked that scene. And I see that a lot. Like when it's you and when it's Lyla and Riggins. There's a lot of standing up for yourself and speaking in a way that nobody else really speaks to Riggins. Don't talk to me like that. Don't do this, you know. And that seems so uniquely Lyla on the show.
I think also, sorry.
Go ahead.
It's something that you said too, which is just dawning on me now too, is like, you know, Friday Night Lights was hard. Your stuff was so heavy, but also the way we worked where, you know, it wasn't cut. Okay, cool. I think in this scene, maybe we'll do that, blah, blah, blah. It was in the middle of the scene. Someone's like, do it more frantic.
Yeah.
And like, you didn't have time to, you're just like, cool. Okay. I'm just adjusting. I'm taking a direction real quick. So then going to the next project, and I had this experience too, where it's like, okay, cut. All right. I'm going to come talk to you.
Right.
And it's like,
oh God, I'm bad.
I'm bad. And I've told the story, like I got to work with Joe Montana this past year, and he directed an episode of something I was doing. And when he gave me a note, because I grew up in Chicago and he's like a legend to me, I was like, oh my God, Joe thinks I'm a bad actor.
Yeah.
Because he gave me a note. And like, how often on any set do you get like everything's just like, that's amazing. That's so good. Yeah. If it's good, it's no notes and you move on. So it's just, it's such a learning experience for all of us. And like, when all your stuff's so heavy, you know, I mean, you want some, like, I'm doing this okay, right? Like, I don't have egg on my face, do I?
And usually it was just Scott that would,
Yeah.
we would just give that to each other. Was I good? Yeah, you're great. Okay. Or was I good? No, I would ask for another one. Can I have another one?
I don't think we ever did that too much, but
No, but-
I felt the same way about you, though. I was green, and we've talked about it on the podcast. I felt so isolated.
Congratulations. You didn't say the pod.
Oh, my God. I didn't say – I said full podcast.
Good
Yes,
for you.
I'm trying to break this bad habit. But what I was going to say is I felt isolated, and you were such a calming force for me throughout all of that. You and then Kevin Rankin, the two of you definitely –
He was great.
Yeah, he was – and he was seasoned and experienced
Yeah.
in the way that, like, Kyle and Connie were. And everybody that's getting to work with them all the time was getting that from them.
Right.
You might have been getting it from Brad, but, as far as, like, the young cast, I didn't work with hardly anybody for quite some time. Except you.
Do you like saving money? Well, guess what? So do I. And the easiest way to save money is to download a little app called Rocket Money onto your phone, and it's going to save you a whole lot of money. It's going to somehow magically go through all your subscriptions and say, hey, do you still want this? Because if not, we'll get rid of it for you and save you that $4.99 a month or whatever it is. Because we all know we're like 30 days free. I'll totally cancel this if I don't like it. And then we totally forget about it. And 3 years later, you're still paying $8.99 a month for who knows what. But Rocket Money knows that you don't need to spend that money. So they go in there with their magic and they get rid of that subscription for you. They give you reminders saying, hey, this bill is due. So you're not late on your bills. They pop up and say, I don't think you've used this subscription in a while. Would you like us to cancel it? I say, yes, please. And they go ahead and do it for you. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending. It helps you lower your bills all in one place. Over 3 million people have used Rocket Money, saving an average person of up to $720 a year. Look, I haven't really kept track of how much it saved me, but it's over a couple of $100s, and I like having those couple of $100. Thank you, Rocket Money. So stop throwing your money away, cancel unwanted subscriptions, and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/FNL. That's rocketmoney.com/FNL. rocketmoney.com/FNL.
It's not only football. Friday Night Lights and Beyond is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Hey, so if you're anything like me, most of you listening right now are probably multitasking. Yeah, while you're listening to us talk, you're probably driving, cleaning, exercising, or shopping, or eating. I eat a lot. But if you're not in some kind of moving vehicle, there's one more little eensy-weensy task that you could add to your list right now. You could be getting an auto quote from Progressive Insurance. It's easy, and you could save money just doing it right from your phone. Drivers who save by switching to Progressive save nearly $700 on average, and auto customers qualify for an average of 7 discounts. Discounts for having multiple vehicles on your policy, for being a homeowner, and more. So just like us, obviously your favorite podcast, Progressive will be with you 24/7, 365 days a year, so you're protected no matter what. Go ahead, add one more task to your list. Quote your car insurance at Progressive.com to join the over 29 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month saving of $698 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2021 and May 2022. Potential savings will vary. Discounts not available in all states and situations.
In season 2, we are jarred. We've started watching season 2. Everything is so crazy different. Everybody has been like, it's like we were marbles, and like somebody just took the biggest marble they could and went, and just like wherever the marbles went that's the storyline we're going to write. So all of a sudden, you've joined the Christ Outreach Academy. You're out there recruiting, ministering, going to prisons and speaking about Christ to groups and trying to find, jobs for Santiago. And I mean, it was season 2. We had all gone away. And I remember you said to me before we went, you were pretty sure we were coming back. I don't know if you remember this. I was like, I think that's it. I was really bummed. Like, I was like, I guess that being on that field might be the last thing we ever do together. And you're like, I think we'll be back. I think we're going to be back.
You're the optimist.
Yeah, it was. I know, but I Zach was like, yeah, I'm going to get my backpack. I'm out of here. Coming back for season 2, did it feel different at all? Like, because I know season 1 was really dark, really heavy. And season 2, you had this like kind of, you were like an optimistic beacon as you know, as far as characters go on the show, like repairing your relationship with Buddy Garrity, you know, repairing your relationship with Riggins, coming to peace with your relationship with Street. Was it more helpful season 2? Or?
No, I hated it. I hated it. I was like, where's the meat? I'm used to this other thing. Why am I, you know, I'm like, okay, she's religious. Surely she's going to get pregnant and have to deal with having an abortion. That feels
heavy.
Like
that feels like Friday Night Lights.
That was your prediction.
Yes. I'm like, okay, when's the pregnancy going to happen? Because we're going to have to contend with, now that she's this religious girl, you're going to have to now contend with, sometimes when you're irresponsible, this thing happens, and what are you going to do? And I just kept being like, oh, no, everything's fine? Okay.
Everything's still fine?
Okay. No, so I sort of missed how heavy it had been, because it just is what I knew.
No, I know what you mean, because it is. You go through, like, you're on a show and there's lulls in your character, especially when it's an ensemble.
Yeah.
And you're like, cool, what am I doing? I mean, I love Daniela, who played Carlota, but like I was like, this is so silly.
Right.
Like, it's just like, I got to do cool stuff last year.
Right.
And I think towards the end of season 2, things got back on track, but I know exactly what you're talking about. You're like, why are we even shooting this?
Midway through season 2, there is a scene, and we haven't talked about it on the podcast yet, but there is a scene when you come to the rescue in Mexico, and you and Taylor are trying to figure out how to prevent Jason Street from doing irreparable harm to himself and putting himself in a life-threatening situation. After the events of that storyline, there is this really unique scene that at the time I don't think I understood at all, where the three of us
I know
are
exactly
at this bar in Mexico before we come back to Texas, where you're dancing with Tim and you guys kiss, then we're dancing.
I need to go
then,
pray.
Like, we kiss, and then you're like, I need to go pray. But I mean, I don't think I understood it then, but I think now it was such like a goodbye to things we've held on to and a freeing, you know, like kind of a cutting of like the weight of stuff that was sitting on the three of these characters since the pilot. Now I see the beauty and the nuance in it. Yeah, and the poetry in it. So, I know it was a crazy storyline, but is there anything you look back on now that you were in the moment, you were like, what am I don't get this. And if you were to rewatch it now, you'd see it in a completely different light.
I just remember mostly the religious stuff, feeling lost there. Like, how is this? And maybe I would see it differently now, because at the time I'm like, give me the meat. I want to cry. Like, I know how to cry now. I have things to cry about. I
have read the message boards, and I'm out to prove myself in season 2.
Yeah, I want to show them that I can be angry without gritting my teeth.
I think you were just phenomenal as Lyla Garrity, and season 3.
I think we all were. Thank you, Scott. No. I think we all were so great. And I think that's the magic of Pete, knowing to pick people who didn't have a lot of habits yet.
Yeah.
And we were free and eager and unafraid for the most part to play. And I think that might be what made the show so special, was you just saw a lot of people really figuring it out in real time. Yeah. So there was a lot of like honesty in our eyes and like genuine vulnerability that was probably very compelling to watch. And maybe didn't know that's why it was so compelling, but I think that's why, was that we genuinely were really in those roles and just scared and lost and excited and just feeling all the things, and the cameras were capturing us figure it all out as we went along, and added to the voyeuristic aspect of how it was shot, and it just was the stars just all aligned, and I think made something so unique and special for that time.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I mean, yeah, and I think it's like the writers respected that we probably knew these characters better than anyone, and they gave us good stories to tell, and they, the freedom to get a little off the page or allowed, it was that respect of like, hey, what Lila's gonna like literally say in this moment.
Yeah.
So here's the moment. You go
Right.
figure it
and
out.
also the camera operators
Oh,
became as pivotal as to telling the story as us. They got to know us so well. So that was also part of the magic, was like knowing Minka does this thing with her hands sometimes. I'm going to catch that. The way that they look at it, I'm just going to capture all of the things I know. Like they knew our movements so well that they captured the things. I just, having 3 cameras running all the time, I think is such a magic thing. Because the reason also why you see so much magic is because sometimes the magic happens once.
Right.
And when you can capture it that one time, you have gold. And they were capturing all. We never had to repeat a scene. We never had to do another take of anything the same. So you're always seeing everything for the first time. You're never seeing us redo a scene, really. You're seeing us say the words for the first time, and that's usually where the magic is. That's why a lot of people don't like to rehearse, is because, no, I don't want to lose the magic. And you're seeing us rehearse on camera a lot of times, and I think that also is part of what made the show so magic.
Yeah, and there's having gone on to other projects, like how many times do you know that the take just happened?
Yeah.
And then sound walks on.
Yeah.
Like, hey, there was like a big like clang and then everybody's like, okay, scratch it, go again. And you see the script supervisor scratch out that take on their little notebook.
You're
And,
like,
you know, usually they circle the ones that they're going to look at and like they're scratching it out and you're just like, that was my greatest joke.
Or it wasn't on your coverage. You're like, man, I just killed it, and no one saw it.
Yeah,
Like,
we never had to worry about that.
we
on
never
Friday
had to
Night
worry
Lights,
about
'cause we were all
coverage.
being covered at the same time.
I had an actress once where she was hiding under her desk. She played my sister, and I find her. She's having like a panic attack, and when it's on my coverage and she's still behind the camera, like she gave me like the one tear, not even on camera. And I was like, man, you're such a better
Love
actor
that.
than I am. 'Cause I can
No,
only
I
get that
love
one tear up for my coverage.
I try. I feel like
I always
really,
try.
yeah,
But there is a little extra like oomph when the camera's on you.
yeah.
You're like, I gotta get it up.
Well, and Friday Night Lights, it's like we did cry. Each of us did cry at different occasions. But it felt like sometimes the director would come in and be like, I think you really need to cry here. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't believe it. And if I don't believe it, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Like I just can't do that. I can't do the,
Oh, I would be like, okay, give me 3 seconds with this really sad song, and I'll be right there.
Let me just listen to Bon Iver real quick.
you know, Pete Berg had told the story about Derek Luke playing Booby Miles. He did his famous car scene. It's where he finds out his future is completely gone. His ACL is torn. He's never coming back from it. He did it once really well, but Pete was like, hey, Derek, so something's missing. I just, like, the impact. Pete, do you need me to cry? Derek
No.
said.
Yeah.
And he goes, I think so. And then Derek cried 3 times, and then they called it a wrap.
And Pete told you that story to intimidate you?
I know.
Pete told me.
Or encourage you.
Pete told me actually after my audition when I auditioned, we had to do the Derek Luke scene, the Booby
Right.
Miles finding out his career is over
Yes.
as Jason
Oof,
Street.
you
We had to
killed
do
that
that
too.
in the
Wow.
test.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do what Derek Luke does. So I just did like 1,000-mile stare, just total shock.
You were beautiful.
And
Yeah.
and
Heartbreaking.
he told me later, he was like, every other actor I saw was like waterworks.
Yeah.
Every other actor would have those tears,
Yeah.
that guy, the crocodile tears that came out of the audition room, and you were like, go blow your nose and wipe your eyes, please, before
love
you come
that.
out here.
I love how protective I was. Of
Yeah.
my
Someone you
color.
just met.
Yeah.
And Pete told me the Derek Luke story because he said the fact that you didn't just try to imitate Derek, because
beautiful.
Derek accesses things
I
in a different
see.
way than you. The fact that you knew that was like, so
got
it was a compliment.
That was
actually,
why
that
he
Pete
told you.
me. Yeah.
I didn't have that other part. That's beautiful.
Before-
And such a great, that's such a great lesson. That's such a beautiful lesson. I learned that the hard way because on Friday Night Lights, I was rewarded for crying all the time. That was what I had to always do. And so I felt like I have this superpower. I'm the crier. I have the nervous breakdowns. I can do that. So I remember auditioning after Friday Night Lights thinking that's what I'm supposed to do. Crying is the thing. And I was auditioning for Nancy Meyers and I had to cry. And I couldn't. I just couldn't do it in the audition. And I remember trying so hard, thinking of all the, I still hadn't learned how to do what we do the right way.
Right.
And so I just was trying to do what I did on Friday Night Lights, which was tap into all the hard things going on in my life and listen to sad music and get myself there and then walk on set and do the thing. And it was harder to do that in audition. And I remember auditioning for her, in the room with her, and I am ready. And I was so nervous that I couldn't do anything. And I was so scared. And I was like, I can't cry. And I would just sit there and be quiet and really try and make myself cry. And I couldn't cry. And she was just standing there watching me, waiting so long that she eventually goes, Minka, let me tell you something. The next time you have a scene to do and you can't cry, just make another choice. You don't always have to cry because it says she cries here. You can make another choice. And as long as you believe it, we'll buy it. And that's what you did. You made another choice and we believed it. And it became better than anyone could have ever done had they turned on the waterworks. It was powerful. And I had to learn that lesson in a really embarrassing way. But how beautiful and wise of you so early on to know I'm just going to make another choice. I can't do that. I'm going to do this. This is what I do. And I can do this. And I believe this. And I'm going to break everyone's heart with it with no tears. Because that's not always how we process pain. Sometimes it's exactly like that. We're in shock. We have no tears because sometimes we go numb because being numb is not avoided feelings. It's too much feelings.
Yeah, shutting down completely.
Yeah. So that's beautiful.
That story is so that lesson we all have to learn at some time. No, it's as you use the word important. That is such an important lesson to learn, and I mean the ability to learn it from her.
Yeah. Well, I'll never work with her because she was.
I highly doubt that.
I didn't get that job.
Well, we talked about in season 2. I'm just gonna move on from Lyla here in just one moment, and in season 2, was kind of like searching for where is that storyline. In season 3, I left, Gaius left, and you left. Mm-hmm. Were you happy with Lila's resolution of her story of Friday Night Lights?
That she went off to college to right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was like, yes, good. Goodbye.
You were like, yeah.
Good, go to school.
Makes sense. This tracks.
Is great. Goodbye.
Lila got out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a lot of resolution in your final arc, but I think when people ask me about Jason Street, I'm like, he won. He got out of Dylan and went and did something.
Exactly.
Saracen won.
Yeah.
Saracen got out of a place that had brought him some joy, but like a lot of pain over the years. And I feel like Lyla, it was the same. A lot of us were in the same boat, this town, as the song choice goes, and very early in season 1, Devil Town, it can really bring you down. You can get stuck here,
exactly.
And you say the line, and you say it to Riggins, and we just covered this episode actually. He says, "I'm not lost, Lyla. I'm in Dillon, home of the Panthers," and you say, "It's possible to get lost in Dillon." And we didn't talk about that line in the episode, but it was like one of the most impactful lines to me from Lyla Garrity, because she's really somebody who was bought into the whole culture in season 1. Cheerleader, gonna marry the star football player. We're gonna, be here forever. This is our life is planned out. And then you had to make your own way. And so I was really proud of Lyla in the end of like getting out of there. And I'm
maybe I should watch it again. Maybe I'll
I mean, honestly, like I haven't watched it since it aired.
Yeah, me neither.
And I'm like, wow, this show is really good. And the most fun part has been seeing you guys, Amy, Gaius, everyone else.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of myself. Like, I'm like, yeah, you did good. But I always knew everyone was so good, but watching it again, and you guys feel like family now, like true family.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of all of you, and it's so cool. Like, when do we get to have that experience?
I know.
Never. You said earlier that leaving Friday Night Lights was kind of freeing for you, and you just told the Nancy Meyers story. And the thing is I feel like as awesome as Friday Night Lights was as an experience to work on, it is so unique that I think at some point we all say it ruined us for regular television, going and trying to work on a show with Marks, as Zach has famously told the story a few times, or, having to know all your words as written like I did on The Good Wife. It also kind of set us up to have to learn some hard lessons after we left. Luckily, you went into parenthood, and you were talking
I had
earlier.
a gentle departure.
And it felt like
it was still Kadam's
breath of fresh air kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you've gone on to do so much past that as well. Almost Human was a show I wished would have gone on forever.
That was a fun one.
I loved that show. But all of a sudden, you're working with a ton of CGI. There's robots and all this stuff. How starkly different is working on something like that? Or like Titans, where you're in full costume, it's full stunts. There's all this CGI. There's explosions and all this stuff. How do you ground it, and how different is it than FNL?
It's interesting because I feel like I bring FNL with me wherever I go as far as the quality of the work I want to do. I want it to be deep and heartfelt and meaningful and emotional and grounded and real. And I think I bring that with me everywhere, even if I'm wearing a super suit, which is so silly. But it was so fun, and I never thought I would ever be a superhero, and I'm like, which one? Dove? What's Dove? What's a Dove?
Hawk and Dove are awesome.
But they are awesome.
From a comic book fan.
I know you would know. and then I grew to love them so much. They really are such beautiful characters. I love them a lot. And I felt so lucky to be chosen to play her. I just was so flattered that they'd see me in Dove, and I really loved working on that show. That was such a I love when you can sort of be in on the joke with superhero stuff, and I love The Boys, and I thought we I love that we got to do a little bit of that. I love that we got to see the human side of these vigilantes and the broken side of these vigilantes and why they became vigilantes. And I love that part of it because that is deep and emotional and, heartfelt. And then I also got to kick ass, which I also love because I am so physical and I insisted on doing all my own stunts for the first couple seasons. And then I was like, nah, I'm older. She's so good. She can do it.
Yeah.
But it was really fun. And that's one of my favorite things about what we do is just all the other stuff that we get to learn, I mean, I was on a show that was pretty bad and didn't last very long, but was the best experience of my career because I got to learn how to stunt drive. I got to learn how to scuba dive. I got to learn how to fight. I got to do weapons training. I mean, my gosh, the things that we get to learn, and I'm going to have to learn how to play piano for my next job. And I'm just so excited. I'm so thankful for the stuff that we get to do. It's so cool.
Yeah. Zach and I have talked a lot. All of the things that I've had to learn to do just for different projects it's so cool because we get paid for it.
I know.
You get paid to take, most people would pay
we're going to find you the
so much
best
money
teacher
to take these
of this
lessons.
skill, and we're going to pay for it, and you're going to do it for a few weeks. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that you got to play a hero born out of tragedy because there's the meat. There's the meat.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, oh, her mom died and let's do that. She's picking dysfunctional relationships in her life. I got it. Let's do it. Let's party.
Let's party. Would you want to ask the big question?
Yeah.
What's the sweater we're wearing? Is that the big question? Is that the big question? Because what is this sweater, Zach?
What is this sweater, Zach?
Well, when we were going through the first season of Friday Night Lights, I made the genius decision to buy one sweatshirt and one hat that I wore on every episode, so I would never have to think about what I was wearing. It was just so simple. Any press we ever did, I just put that on. And then when we were coming up to season 2, people started asking, can Zach change his clothes?
No. It wasn't coming up to season 2. It was the entirety of season 1.
So
around episode 5 or 6, it was is Zach ever going to change his clothes? Huh. And then around episode 20 to 25, they're like, I'm going to go as Halloween. I'm going to go as Zach Gilford from It's Not Only Football for Halloween this year because he just wears the same thing.
So I decided when we got to season 2, I changed my outfit, but I wanted to make it even more annoying. And so I bought this. And online, it didn't look quite this bad. Like, I thought it would be
You
fun.
wore this?
Now he's stuck in it.
Yep.
But it's fitting for season 2, I think.
Yeah, it's a little out there.
It's a little out there.
I think it's fun. It catches the eye.
Oh, thank you.
It's interesting. It's great.
Before we let you go, we always ask the same question. It's the title of our podcast, and we always like to say, if this show wasn't only football, what was it for you?
It was very much about surviving and finding my voice and finding my confidence. And learning how to not outsource my safety or my happiness to everyone else. That was a big experience for me and a big learning experience for me.
I love it too because, surviving also just kind of is such a great thing for all the characters on the show.
Yeah. You know, Pete seemed to find the perfect person for every role.
Yeah.
Everybody who was just on the edge of something, you know, and for Gaius, it was exploration of like this louder, freewheeling kind of side of himself that he always kept buttoned up because in his real life, he's, you know, his nickname is Business. And we talked about it on the podcast about there was something there just under the surface that Smash allowed him to explore. And it seemed like for Amy, growing up was something. For me, you know, Street's Journey was, you know, I had been told that I'd be nothing but fourth guy on the left on some WB show when I was leaving theater and I was auditioning for television. Somebody from Disney Theatricals actually said those words to me. And so for me, it was about like proving myself. And I was like, this role is the role, you know. And it seems like for everybody, there was something just under the surface that we were fighting to find out about ourselves that somehow Pete saw.
Yeah, but didn't know.
Yeah. Zach is like, Zach doesn't love book club, so. Well, Minka, it was so good to see you here. Thank you so much for coming in.
Yes.
We always seem to bump into each other at like the most fun things. Like I've seen you at a music festival. I've seen you at the graveyard for movies. What is that? What is
Hollywood
it?
Forever.
The Hollywood Forever.
Cemetery,
which
yeah.
Anybody who's not from LA that hears us say we
Sounds
go to
ridiculous.
a cemetery and watch movies on it, but it's a really cool like way to watch older films and like remember all these really cool pieces of cinema. And
It's one of my favorite things to do in LA.
Yeah, I bump into you there. I know you guys see each other a lot, but let's not let it be so long before we see you again.
I agree.
As we watch the show, we're just like we want to be with all these people again, but as adults, like, you know, and see how everybody's lives have changed. And you are still, to me, so full of power and so full of grace. And, you know, working with you for me was just such an honor. So thank you for coming and reliving some of that with me today.
Thank you, Scott.
You're the best.
You're the best.
That's what you are to me.
You're the best, Zach.
No, you are.
You guys are both the best. You guys were from day one. Thank you so much for continuing to be the best. I feel so lucky to have this little family. Thank you.
We feel the same exact way. The three amigos ride again. This is awesome. We want to say a quick thank you to everybody out there listening. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and getting to explore Minka's journey on Friday Night Lights. We like to sign off the same way every single week. On behalf of myself, Zach Gilford, Minka Kelly, we say clear eyes.
Full hearts.
Oh, I can't lose it. Can't lose.
I took it.
We'll see you next Thursday,
in there.
everybody. Peace.